Hello and welcome, my dear friend. You know, reputation is a strange thing. It doesn't always reflect the truth. It reflects perception. And perception? That can be filtered through jealousy, projection, misunderstanding, or just someone's unwillingness to see you clearly. There are people who formed opinions about you based on who you were becoming, not who you actually were. And because you were still in the middle of becoming, you didn't argue. You let them say what they needed to say. You let them watch what they thought was your downfall. But it wasn't a downfall. It was an undercover rising. And now something has shifted in the unseen. Heaven has decided it's time for the truth to catch up with your name. There's a divine interruption happening, one that's going to correct the record without you lifting a finger. Not through performance, not through explanation, not through revenge, but through undeniable revelation. Because here's what they didn't realize. You were never meant to stay in the version of yourself they tried to trap you in. They were talking about someone you used to be. They underestimated what healing would do. They underestimated what God was doing behind the scenes, how He was building your character, layering your strength, sharpening your voice. You didn't rush to prove anything. That was the most powerful thing about you. As hard as it was, you let the silence do the heavy lifting. You let time expose what intention never could. And now comes the exposure. But not your exposure, theirs. The ones who tried to keep your name small because your presence made them uncomfortable. The ones who called your depth too much because they were committed to staying shallow. The ones who whispered about you, hoping the whispers would travel faster than your truth. God is about to make sure the truth outruns every one of those whispers. And it won't be loud. It'll be surgical. You'll walk into the same rooms they used to avoid you in, and this time, they won't be able to look away. You'll speak the same truths they used to laugh at, and this time, they'll feel them land. You'll stand in the same spirit you've always had. And this time, they'll recognize the weight it carries. Because here's what's happening. On one side, you exude a different kind of energy right now, and on the other, God is recalibrating the atmosphere around you. He's shifting the lens people use when they look at you, not to inflate your ego, but to restore accuracy. This isn't a glow-up. This is a divine rerouting of misperception. You weren't out here trying to impress anyone. You were busy healing, quietly, deeply. And because your healing didn't come with a social announcement, they assumed nothing changed. They assumed wrong. This isn't karma. This isn't revenge. This is God saying, enough. It's time they face the truth about who you really are. You never needed a microphone. You just needed alignment. And now that alignment is beginning to show. You'll notice it in the way people address you differently, in the way certain opportunities come with respect baked in the way those who once dismissed you now hesitate before speaking your name, because your energy now carries a weight that cannot be denied anymore. This is the outcome of keeping faith and trust, even in the hardest times. This is what happens when heaven puts your name in places where your defense isn't needed, because your presence becomes the proof. Not a loud, aggressive entrance, just clarity, truth, and presence. And for the first time, it will be impossible to mislabel you again. But here's what no one talks about. It's not just the rejection that hurts. It's the long season afterward, when nothing seems to move, when the silence is louder than the betrayal. You carry yourself with grace, but the questions grow heavier. Was I wrong? Did I imagine the call? Maybe they were right. And yet, something deep in you would never fully let go of the truth. Not because you were clinging to fantasy, but because you recognized something holy in your story that the world hadn't yet seen. Let's be honest. You've had to live for a while as the one who almost made it. The one with something unexplainable about them. Too spiritual for some, too grounded for others, too aware to stay blind, too kind to become bitter. You've had to master how to stand tall while being sized up, studied, and second-guessed by people who never saw beyond the surface. But that season is ending, because this is the moment where heaven is about to interrupt the narrative, not to inflate your ego, but to correct the record. Because when God assigns favor, He doesn't ask for permission. And when it's time to be seen clearly, nothing can hide what's been burning beneath the surface for years. Let this sink in. Your reputation is not being restored. It's being rewritten from the inside out. Because the world saw your silence as weakness, they saw your patience as passivity. They saw your humility as evidence you weren't ready. But none of it was weakness. It was strategy. And now, the timing has shifted. This is the season when your alignment starts speaking louder than the assumptions people made about you. This is the moment when the opportunities that used to pass you by start circling back. And this time, they stop. Because heaven has already stamped approved on something that used to be denied. You'll know it's happening, not because everyone suddenly becomes kind, but because the resistance will start to sound a lot more like reverence. The same ones who thought you were just another dreamer are about to realize you were always the blueprint. And it's not because you chased a platform, it's because you kept becoming when no one even noticed it. You became steady when the chaos came. You became generous when you barely had enough. You became wise when all you had was pain to study. And now that foundation is undeniable. The shift in your reputation isn't a marketing campaign. It's not manufactured. It's spiritual. It's the result of invisible roots growing deep while you looked like a late bloomer to everyone else. They thought you were behind, but you were being backed by heaven. And when God backs you, no human effort can block what's due. You see, reputation isn't just what people say, it's what your life echoes without words. And your life is about to start echoing something different. It will look like a new level of recognition. But more than that, it'll feel like peace in your body. You'll walk into situations that once triggered you and feel unmoved. You'll hear the opinions that used to define you and feel untouched. You'll sense the envy and projection and walk right past it. Why? Because your reputation is no longer something you're trying to manage. It's something God is managing for you. And you're about to see the fruit of that shift. For some of you, the opportunities that show up next won't even make sense based on what's on your resume. It will be favor, not formula. It will be God placing your name in rooms your effort never entered. Not because you campaigned for attention, but because your authenticity, your becoming, has reached critical mass. You stopped asking to be seen through the lens of past failure. You stopped explaining away your glow. You stopped translating your spirit for people committed to misunderstanding it. And now, things are catching up. The people who quietly watched your process are about to speak publicly. The ones who dismissed you will start shifting their tone, without apology, but with curiosity. Not because they had a change of heart, but because they can no longer deny what you carry. And listen carefully, you don't need revenge, because this is better. This is what it looks like when God clears the fog off your reflection. You're not being introduced, you're being revealed. And it's different, because anyone can make a splash by pretending, but only the chosen ones rise by alignment. Only the chosen ones get elevated without having to trade in their soul to get there. That's who you are. You didn't fight to be seen. You fought to stay true while unseen, and because of that, this shift isn't just public, it's permanent. So walk forward with no fear, because you don't need to convince anyone anymore. Your walk speaks, your presence speaks, and your story finally speaks clearly. Because they're not just seeing you now, they're seeing who you really are, and they won't be able to look away. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me. If this message resonated, Please like, share it with someone who might benefit, and subscribe to stay connected. Continue your awakening journey by choosing one of the videos on your screen that resonates with you the most. See you there.